Hello and blessings, beautiful souls. Avalon here, and welcome to your initiation prep video. So in this video, I'm going to run over initiation processes with you to help you to familiarize yourself with the flow of ritual that will be taking place at the night or during the night or day of your initiation. Now I'm just going to light a piece of Palo Santo and create that sense of sacred, because we are of course talking of sacred ritual here, and I want to be able to open up this sacred space and have this conversation with you within sacred space so that it has that depth and meaning that I need it to have. This is of course no substitute for face-to-face, but it does help a little bit to really deepen the process and the conversations and the feeling and the energy that we are sharing. So I have my iPad here, I have a notebook here, and I'm going to do a good rundown of the notes section. These notes are going to be included with this video and they're going to be uploaded, and you are going to be able to view all of this together. And the notes are kind of the skeletal structure, and what I'm doing here in the video is I'm going to provide you with the blueprint, a map, a rundown. Okay, so I'm going to be using a few props, I'm going to be drawing some diagrams, and most importantly, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how I envision this process to go. Now, please keep this in mind. This is your initiation, and a lot of your energy will need to be infused into this process to make it deep and meaningful for you. You are bringing to the table, you are bringing to this sacred space your own unique essence. What I have here in the list section is a list of recommended items that are important to have during initiation, but that list is malleable. If you cannot get your hands on everything on that list, then please get comfortable with the concept of substitution. I have put here in this document, in this set of notes, the things that I know work, the things that I have used time and time again, and for initiations for myself, for facilitating initiations for other individuals, and I know that they work. I choose multi-purpose botanicals. I choose botanicals that are more or less easily sourced. Now, there are a few ingredients here that are not so easily sourced, but this is initiation, and within the context of initiation, I need you to go big. This is not something that you will repeat over and over again. This must be a standalone ritual that is highlighted in your mind. You've never done this before, you're never going to do this again, okay? Not at least in the same way. You will initiate time and time again in your own way, of course, but this is incredibly important. So I want to encourage you to go full witch. Okay, whatever that means to you, I want you to be able to harness that power as much as you can, to own the space, to own the process, to dedicate to it and to respect it and yourself above all else. Okay, this is a unique experience. There's nothing like this, and it is up to you to create the parameters of that uniqueness. Okay, so don't do what you've always done. If you do what you've always done, you will have what you have always had. This is something separate. You are crossing the veil. You are initiating to be reborn, okay? In a very metaphorical sense, this must be something that plays out symbolically throughout your ritual. There must be that feeling. You must feel it. I must feel it. The entire process must know that that is what's going on, right? Okay, with that little pep talk out of the way, let's begin. So, like I said, I've got the notes section here. And it's kind of like a roadmap to your initiation. So it is broken up into a few sections, a few important sections. So preparation of the mind. So it's important to begin preparation of the mind first. I've got this in order. So you've got preparation of the mind. You have also got preparation of the body. You have got preparation of spirit and preparation of sacred space. All right. And so after that, there is a list of recommended items to acquire. I originally wrote a short list of recommended items to acquire, which quickly turned into a large list. Now, let's go through this list one by one and then walk through the process. So you are going to need to acquire candles, 1 black, 2 white. Your black candle is your cleansing and banishing candle. And your 2 white candles, one is your blessing candle, the other one will stand as the element of fire, symbolic to the element of fire within your sacred space. And so you are going to need to build your sacred space in a manner that is, of course, pleasing to you, decorate it in a manner that is pleasing to you, make it look beautiful. But in its bare bones, it will need to have representations of earth, air, fire, and water. So a little cup or a dish of something, of something that you can put some water in. Then you'll need a candle. You are going to need some air. You can, representations of air. You can use, not some air, you'll need all air. Hang on. You can use feathers, you can use incense, you can use something else entirely. The choice is yours. And earth, you can use salt, you can use crystals, you can use wood or bone. It is entirely up to you. Beyond that, the sacred space, your altar specifically, needs to be a pure reflection of you, the magic that you are working towards bringing into your life, the way that you see yourself as a witch, your aspirations for your witchcraft. They should all be symbolized in one form or another in the natural aesthetic of your sacred space. So do put effort into your sacred space and be sure to make sure that you have all 4 of the sacred elements. Spirit will be present with you at all times. It is the breath in which you are speaking your sacred words, that you are breathing. And so you have that full balance there, right? So let's begin there. So you've got your black candle, you've got your 2 white candles, as I've discussed. Then you have black thread made of natural fiber. Now, this black thread is important in the sense that you want to wrap this in preparation of body, for instance, at the very beginning when you prepare for this. You want to be able to take this black thread. Oh dear, I just lost one of my beautiful egret feathers. Oops. Okay, you want to be able to take this thread and wrap it around your wrist, tie it in a loose way, wear it. And this is going to symbolize your now, your state of now. It's going to absorb your energy in the state of now. And with it, it's going to absorb your worries. It's going to absorb your negativity that might be surrounding you, the negative thoughts that you might have towards others. It is symbolic of that cleansing. It will help you to banish, basically. And so having it wrapped around your wrist while you're preparing yourself, I would like for you to focus on that thread, because later on we are going to burn that thread, okay? We're going to banish that. So use this as an opportunity to allow it to absorb. Black is the absence of color, and it absorbs. It absorbs what it needs to absorb. And so as you're preparing yourself, make sure that you are focused on, preparing yourself in a way that makes the process just, how can I put this? When you're preparing yourself in this way, be conscious of the things that you do not want to include into this process. And those things that you don't want to include, those little thoughts that creep up, send them to your black thread, okay? It's quite a nice distraction, actually, when you're preparing yourself and you're thinking all the good things and then a little something creeps up in your mind. Then banish it to your black thread, okay? So that's what the black thread there is for. Then you are going to need a heat-proof dish. Now, what I mean by a heat-proof dish is something that you can burn your incense in. And so it is really important to have a vessel that can support the heat of a charcoal disc and a little bit of burning, a little bit of fire, right? And so I like to use a cauldron, but you can use a plate, you can use basically a non-flammable vessel. I highly recommend putting sand in the bottom of that, whether you're using a cauldron or a plate or something non-flammable. Then it is really important to make sure that that bottom is heat proof, and by placing sand in the bottom of your vessel, you can stop that vessel from catching on fire, from overheating, from damaging furniture, from, marking surfaces and things of that nature. So it stops the overheating of the vessel itself. And I've seen it happen time and time again where individuals have placed a charcoal disc on a plate and it just doesn't burn properly because the plate itself will stop it from heating, and when it does heat, it can actually crack the plate itself and it can damage the surface of the plate and the surface beneath the plate. So likewise in cast iron can really overheat, making it impossible for you to handle, and if it is rested on a surface, then there is every chance that it's going to leave a mark on that surface. So just be sure to make sure that you put that sand in the bottom, and you can put your charcoal disc on top. So that heat-proof dish is It's important. Then you've got sufficient candle holders. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need something to support your black candle, your 2 white candles, and your witch's candle, your pillar candle, which is your working candle, right? So you've got a pillar candle, your black candle, your white candle. Now, your black candle and your white candle are going to be in front of you on plates. So you don't necessarily need candle holders for that. You can go through the trouble of placing candle holders on there if you want that extra support, but the choice is yours. Black candle, white candle on plates, they're going to be in front of you. You will need a candle holder, absolutely, for your representation of fire. You will also need a candle holder for your pillar candle, right? Okay, so you're going to need matches and a lighter, some kind of incendiary device, a pen. The color of your pen is up to you. I would recommend using black for your banishing, and any color like blue would be really great for writing any well wishes, any blessings that you'd like. I'd steer clear of red. Red is for blood rituals, and we can talk about that another time, but you know, just work with what you've got. And it doesn't have to be a fancy schmancy pen, although if you want to add an extra layer to your ritual, you can buy or acquire a pen specifically for your witch's journaling and your witch's magic, and you can bless it and consecrate it within your sacred space. And that's something that you can do if you want to. You don't have to. It's just an option, right? So you've got your coven crystal, and your coven crystal will need to be close to you, and then your keepsake. So I'm just going to use my mala as an example of the keepsake, okay? So there we have it, so your keepsake. Then you'll have incense. You can make this yourself using natural botanicals and oils and grinding them down into a rough powder using a mortar and pestle. Now, magical incense is incredibly important. I have some examples here, right? So this is what I recycle containers, folks. This is a Lush container. So this is one example of a rough incense. I'll pour this out into my hand so that you can have a really good look at it, okay? That's the consistency, right? And I have others that look a little different to that, and this one here is a perfect example of that. There you have it. It's a bit more finely ground. It's clumped, but it's finely ground at the same time, so it's a bit, you know, it's a bit finer in nature. And then you've got this really, really rough sort of mix here. This is one from the Witch's Moon, and you can have a really good look at that and see just how, you know, how rough it is. It actually shakes. You can see the frankincense and the copal in that, by the way. Now, how you choose to ground down your incense is entirely up to you. I like to use a mortar and pestle. Now, this is hard work, and as I'm like really making my incenses and really grounding down my sprinkling powders, I'm envisioning what I want. I'm setting the intention there, and I might be chanting, I might be singing, I might be, you know, breathing rhythmically. I like to do this when I'm listening to drumming music. It helps me to really create that that tempo and to really remain focused. Now, if you want to ground your incense down into a fine powder, then know this. Fine powdered incense is really great because it's multi-purpose. You can use it as a sprinkling powder, and you can also use it as an incense. Now, when you do burn these fine powdered incense, it burns a lot quickly, and it's a unified scent. And what I mean by that is all the ingredients are together, so it creates this unified scent. So you don't smell a single individual note, you just smell the mix in its entirety, right? When you have a loose mix incense like this, it creates dimension, and so you burn that on coal. And what happens is each time one of those little granules, one of those resins, botanicals hits the hot coal, it releases a note, and then you might get 2 or 3 notes releasing at the same time depending on how many different botanicals you put in your incense. And it creates this really interesting woven aroma, and that to me is pure magic. So that's my way. I don't like to leave it too rough. I like to have that medium, hold that medium ground of semi-rough and a little bit powdered. It creates a really interesting release of aroma, and that magic can be felt, and you can actually see these beautiful spiraling smoke coils, and it's just a beautiful thing, and it can be quite meditative as well. By the way, my hands are freezing here. All right. So you want salt as well. You can use table salt for this, or you can use rock salt. I'm a big fan of sea salt for this type of thing, but it's up to you. Your anointing oil, again, you can make this yourself by infusing botanicals and crystals into a base oil. Now, I do have a really great example. Oh, hello. A really great example of what I mean. This is one of the best examples of a magical oil I have ever seen. This came in a witch's moon, but it is beautiful, and it is a Freya oil, by the way. Now in this, you will see that there is gold leaf, there are botanicals, and there is oil. So you would put a carrier oil, you would put a few drops of essential oils if you have them, and then you would add to them herbs, a crystal, or any other, like gold leaf, for instance, any other ingredient that you know would go well there. Now, one important note to remember is that in order to add botanicals to oil, they must be bone dry, otherwise they will mold. They will mold in the oil, and it's a disgusting thing to see. So it is really important to use bone dry herbs, to mix it into your carrier oil, to add a few drops of fragrant oil, to add any other bits and pieces that you think would be nice, that would really infuse it. And if you want to, you can speed up the infusion process by placing the oil in small amounts of sunlight and even small amounts of moonlight for a couple of days in a row, just to help to release that aroma a little bit. It's a beautiful way of making an oil, a magical oil for yourself. But once again, like, look at that. That is so beautiful. And you want to be able to look at your magical oil, your initiation oil, and just marvel at its beauty in the same way that I'm marveling at this. And know this, your initiation oil can then be used later on whenever you are seeking to initiate or embark on a really big endeavor. So you can store this, and whenever you're about to really immerse yourself in a project and embark on a whole new course, then use your initiation oil. It's going to be fabulous for that. All right, so you're going to need some charcoal discs. So I hope we all know what charcoal discs are. They usually come in a packet, a foiled packet, and that's what we use to burn our loose mix incense. So you'll put that in your heat-proof container on top of your sand, and you will sprinkle your incenses on top of that, and it will release that note, and it will be beautiful. Keep in mind, of course, fire safety, right? You'll need to add as well your own ritual items of significance. So this comes with the territory of you infusing your sacred space with your own unique energy. Sacred space creation is entirely individual. No one can tell you how to do it. You need to be able to learn to build a space that you feel is both beautiful and workable. When you're creating your sacred space, let it spill out into every direction. This is your initiation after all, and so command a space. Now, the size and the dimensions of that space is entirely dependent on how much space you have to work with to begin with, right? So take as much space as you can, and make it look absolutely stunning. Make it look so beautiful to you and who you are. When you are adorning your altar, you want to make sure that your altar is both well adorned and still workable. You want to be able to create and craft your magical spells, especially for initiation, on top of your altar in front of your witch's pillar candle, okay? So you need to be able to create a space that is both beautiful and functional. So it's a workable surface first and foremost, and that is what a witch's altar is. A working altar means that you can get to your altar, grind up your herbs, create your spells, sprinkle things on top of it to later on be, you know, excused. Right, so then you'll need 2 plates, right? 2 plates. Do not use good plates for this. They will get ruined. Well, they may get ruined. So when I mentioned that you're going to have a black candle and a white candle, placing them on a plate, this is what I'm talking about. So you're going to need just 2 old plates that are not going to perish, or if they do perish, you're not going to bother when they perish, I should say. And if they do perish, you know, so be it. But the shame here is that in Brazil, we have these witch markets, and you can go and buy all these terracotta dishes. Now, these terracotta dishes are things that we actively use within magic because they are made of barro, They are made of earth and they can decompose naturally without affecting the environment. So when you're wandering around the streets of Rio, you will actually see these terracotta dishes on crossroads with food and with candles in them, specifically because they do not affect the environment around them. And you can buy these very easily, you know, in any macumba store, any witch market available. Now, sadly, the Western world does not cater to the witch, and we don't have access to these types of things. But if you really do want to, you can actually go to nurseries, plant nurseries, and they sometimes have those earthen trays. Mind you, because of the draining of plants, some of them have a hole in the middle. So it's entirely up to you what you use. I would just go to my secondhand store and get some, you know, some non-expensive plates and use that. So it's up to you, but that's what you're going to need. You will need, and here we get to the more botanical items, you will need sugar, lavender, frankincense. Now let me go through this. Sugar to sweeten the process, to make it feel delicious for yourself. It's symbolic. It's an attraction substance. When you add sugar to something, you sweeten the entire process, and I'm speaking of that metaphorically. Lavender is an all-purpose herb. It brings a sense of soothing. It can also be very grounding. It creates this openness and this flow within space, and it allows you to feel a sense of peace and contentment through the process. Frankincense is a sacred herb. It has a strong narrative associated to it. It was one of the botanicals that was gifted from a wise man to baby Jesus, or so it is said. Mugwort is the seer stone. You can use mugwort as a substitute for tobacco. You can use mugwort as a tea to open up your third eye. You can burn mugwort for that very same reason. So it brings that sense of sacred, and it opens up the intuitive faculties. Mandrake, which is the witch's herb. Now, this is not an easy botanical to come by, and mandrake is not something that is 100% necessary within sacred space, but I have it here because this is your initiation, and it is the witch's herb. You will use mandrake only as a sprinkling herb around your circle of power, okay? It can be, I wouldn't recommend using it on top of your altar, and if you are going to use it at all, please remember that this is a toxic herb, that your pets, your children, your loved ones are not to overhandle this herb. They're not really to touch it at all. I wouldn't recommend handling it too much. If you're concerned at all, grab a spoon and sprinkle it around your sacred space, and then later on collect it with a dustpan and brush, and make sure that you've got it all, especially if you have pets and small children. If this is too stressful for you, do not use it. Just simply don't use it. Okay, but I have it here because it is the witch's herb. Like I said, there is such a strong narrative associated to mandrake, and especially the mandrake root. And having it in your sacred space actually transforms the energy of sacred space, and it brings that ancient narrative. There is something so powerful about the story of that herb itself, that root, that it just brings with it everything that it needs to, and it does. It takes on that intense energy of the witching herb. Now you'll have clove. Clove is a protective herb. It's also a healing herb. Can be great for toothaches and ulcers on your tongue, for instance. It's numbing in that way. But it's a multi-purpose used herb in which so basically, here's what I got one here because I love clove. There's a little clove. You can actively put clove into your candles. So if you're using a black candle and you want to banish something, you want to drive an intention into it, so you can actually push clove into your candles and utilize it in that way. But I like to have it as a sprinkling herb. I like to ground it. I love the smell of a clove, or a few clove, I can't remember the name of them now, in oils. Oh look, my candle is starting to really burn out. So here we go. Now, clove, you'll have rosemary. Rosemary is a protective herb. It is a herb that will help to enhance the memory of the event as well. Sage is a sacred cleansing herb. Palo Santo, which is optional, will bring that sense of sacred. Now, Palo Santo is holy wood. You pronounce it Palo Santo. And it brings with it the sense of sacred. So when creating sacred space, I would recommend smudging the space or smoke cleansing with sage first, and then bringing in that energy of Palo Santo. Okay? So then we have black tourmaline. A rough piece of black tourmaline is what you need. Tourmaline is my soldier. Black tourmaline is my great workhorse. It is one of the absolute best neutralizing stones, and you would like your black tourmaline next to your black candle when the time comes. Now, if you can't get a hold of black tourmaline, then please feel free to substitute that black tourmaline with something else that holds a protective essence. Smoky quartz has a mystical power to it, but it is also considered very protective. Red jasper has been known to be considered as very protective. Red garnet has been known to be very protective, and it is up to you what you use. At the end of the day, I recommend tourmaline. Tourmaline is something that I would not substitute for me personally, but I'm hell-bent on tourmaline, and I have a lot of it, so it's easy for me to say that. For you, you'll have to negotiate. I would not recommend using polished surfaces. This works as a mirror. So whatever it is that you are sending out is going to bounce back. So do not use polished stone. And that's a reason why I've, recommended, like, look at this beautiful garnet here. And tourmaline is like, it's in its rough, raw format. Here's another piece of tourmaline here. They look very similar, but they're rough in their surfaces, and you want something that's going to be very good at absorbing negative energy. Okay, so then you will have with you a knife or an implement for carving your sigil into your witch's candle. Important to use. You can use a knife, you can use your coven crystal if it's got a good point, you can use a calligraphy pen or a fountain pen. Please keep in mind that if you do go down that route, it will ruin your nibs, so don't use something that's precious. If you've got a claw like that, you can actively use your claw to carve into it. Just use what you've got above all else and work with that. Okay, then you'll need a head wrap, which we will speak of soon, and you will need first aid and fire safety equipment. Now, I've got this in here, and by the way, folks, this list is in not any particular order, or not in any particular order, I should say. But it is important to have some kind of first aid and fire safety devices or protocols around you. Not devices, but protocols, things that you can use in a pinch. And I say this because no matter how experienced you are, accidents do happen. I have been to so many rituals with very experienced practitioners, and something catches on fire. So it's really great to have, a bottle of water next to you, and maybe some all-purpose flour if you need to smother something in the flour. It's really, really important to note that your safety within ritual space is no laughing matter, and it's very, very important to make sure that when you are in sacred space that you have everything you need. And one of the things that sometimes you do need is first aid equipment, and that's really, really important. And I never hear this said enough. Honestly, within ritual space, I never hear it said enough. But it is important to have, okay? And, shit does happen, folks. No matter how good you are at keeping an eye on things, sometimes spirit wants to get your attention, and stuff does happen. So you'll need a bell, chimes, gong, drum, meditation bowl, basically something that emits a nice sound. And you will be using this, and I'm just going to use my bell. You'll be using this to open up sacred space. Okay? So once you have cast your circle or created your circle, and you are sitting before your altar, you are prepared. You are going to light your fire candle, your representation of fire. You're going to call in a sense of sacred space. We'll get to that in a minute, and you are going to ring that bell. Okay. Ritual clothing or a cloth wrap for yourself. Now, during your ritual, as you begin your ritual, you want to be wearing some kind of ritual clothing, the type of which is entirely up to you. I prefer to just go to a store and grab 2 meters, 3 meters of, some kind of natural cloth and wrap myself in that toga style. It's very freeing, and it you know, it serves a purpose later on. I never waste anything. If I've got lots and lots of fabric, especially in a color like green or white, it doesn't matter what color it is, I can use it in charm bags. I can wash it and use it in charm bags later on. So just make it something multi-purpose for yourself. Make sure you feel beautiful. Make sure you feel elegant. Well, not elegant, but make sure you feel primal and beautiful and powerful in whatever it is that you wear. And I find that wearing less is sometimes more, and so I do prefer to wrap myself up in a cloth. You're also going to need a white towel for drying yourself after your well-awaited bath or shower. So when I say white, I mean a color that has that virgin quality, and I've spoken about this. Virgin means clean, okay? So if you don't have a white towel in your repertoire already, then use a color that is not black. You can substitute white with any other color. White is the full spectrum of color, so use what you've got there, but you cannot use black to substitute white, because black is viewed as the absence of color, okay? It is considered the void, the shadow, the other side of the mirror. Okay, so you'll also need white clothing, and again, we've just spoken of color here, so you'll need white clothing, and this includes undergarments. So make sure that you choose colors that are not black. If you have white, then use them. Again, they must be clean and cleared. You might even want to ritually prepare your white garments by putting them in a wash cycle with some herbs, with some moon water, with some botanicals of essential oils. Thank you. I'm all topsy-turvy with my words at the moment, so please do excuse me. Add that to your wash cycle and infuse your white or light colored garments in that, okay? You are going to need a celebration drink. So consider your end of initiation salubrious type of occasion. I recommend black ale or mead. It's wonderful. Mulled wine is another one. But if you're a non-drinker, then purified water or a really exquisite juice or a beautiful herbal tea may be just what you would like to celebrate with, and it's entirely up to you. Just make it something luxurious for yourself, okay? You will also need ritual appropriate music. This is optional, mind you. Ritual appropriate music, I recommend choosing instrumental music only. And the reason why I say this is because when listening to music, music is oftentimes infused with beautiful lyrics, and those lyrics contain with them a context and a tone and an energy. And if that energy doesn't align to initiation of a witch, then don't use it. This is why I recommend using drumming, like native drumming sounds, shamanic drumming sounds, Tibetan meditation bowls, the hang drum, things that are not guided by music per se in the actual context of it. You're going to need a speaker or a listening device, earphones if you require privacy or if you just want to deepen the experience for yourself, bread and drink for the spirits. Okay, so that is the list. Now let's go over a few things here. Okay. First and foremost, you are going to prepare your body, you're going to prepare your mind, you're going to prepare your spirit. You're going to prepare your head. So we've spoken about the head preparation. So coconut oil and herbs infused in the hair. I didn't feel the need to repeat that information here, but really have that present. And have it infused and have your hair up or down. It's entirely up to you. Just keep it away from your face so it doesn't catch on fire when you're doing your things, okay? So perhaps keeping it up is probably the safest bet. Okay, so you are going to approach your altar space in your beautiful ritual garb. Now, I recommend setting up your sacred space, like your altar and things of that nature, before you begin this actual process, and because it's just the work part of it, all right? Oh, it just did a weird focus thing. So, what was I saying? It just weirdly focused then. Sorry about that. So, you are going to want to prepare what is, you know, just the protocols of it. So the setup of your altar, the setup of your sacred space, making sure the candles are placed where they need to be placed, etc. And up to you. Then you will ritually prepare yourself and approach sacred space. And when you approach sacred space, you are going to begin by creating your circle. Okay, so this will be your circle. I hope you can see that I'm using 0.3. Okay, can you see that? So you're going to create your circle. The dimensions of that circle is entirely up to you and the type of energy or area that you have to work with. I keep saying energy. There's high energy in this space. Okay, so from here, it is dependent on what you want to do, okay? So you've created, you visualized your circle, so you know exactly what kind of area, circumference you can go, how big it can be, etc. So what you want to do now is you want to begin sprinkling salt. So you want salt and mandrake. I would even probably put a pinch of rosemary. Okay, and just sprinkle them in an anti-clockwise direction, and we call that widdershins. Okay, widdershins means away from the sun, anti-clockwise, in the direction of the sun. Okay, so you'll sprinkle that anti-clockwise around your circle, and once you've done that, you might want to define your directions. You don't need to do this, mind you, and it very muchly depends on what you feel comfortable with. So you can go north, you can go south, east, west. Okay, and you will want to say your blessings to the winds of the north, the winds of the south, the winds of the east, and the winds of the west. Okay, the blessing that you say is again entirely up to you. You can walk up and be very, very simple and go, blessed be the winds of north, blessed be the winds of east, blessed be the winds of south, and so on. And you can say something more. You can view the watchtowers, for instance. Again, we're getting into deep ritual sense here. So it really depends on what it is that you would like. You can go elemental, you know, north, earth, south, fire, east, air, west, water. That is the directions for me personally in my geographical location. Those directions are going to be different depending on where you are personally, okay? So you can honor the elements in that way. And that's personally what I would do. I would honor the elements. You may even like to put a candle, so a little candle, or an item of symbolism. So for north, I might put a crystal in north. For air, I might put a feather. For south, an extra candle. West, a little cup of water. Or I might just put candles in all of them to represent the sacred nature of the energies. Now be very careful with this. Whenever you light a candle within sacred space, it must be dedicated. You don't just light a candle, you dedicate it. I dedicate this candle to the powers of north. I dedicate this candle to the powers of east, and get very comfortable dedicating a candle. Candles are beacons to spirits, so you must dedicate to the guardians of these directions if you are going to be using candles, okay? This is quite important, and it means that you're not inviting any unwanted spirits into your sacred space. Okay, so you have your salt, you have your mandrake, you have your rosemary, but you also need your common sense. And that's why I'm saying this, all right? So once you have that sorted out, you may want to ring your bell. So we ring their bell. Okay, or beat your drum, or shake your rattle. And if you don't have a rattle, grab your mala and do what I do when I'm sitting here being, you know, amazing. And so open that space, okay? Then your sacred space is open. You may want to smoke cleanse with sage and Palo Santo once that circle has been formed and you've welcomed in those energies, and you want to create that sense of beautiful sacred. That's the time to bring in that sage and that Palo Santo, specifically Palo Santo if you have it, and to light your incenses. Light your incenses, light your fire candle, and find yourself in front of your altar, okay? So bring yourself to your altar. On your altar, you are going to say a blessing. The blessing is entirely up to you. So say your blessing. Why are you standing there? Who are you? You want to dedicate yourself to this process. So introduce yourself, and introduce yourself in an ancestral, respectful way. So I would say, hello and blessings, spirits of old, my ancestral spirits and those who witness. You know, I would say my little spiel, and then I would say, I am the daughter of blah, blah, and blah, blah. I am the sibling of blah, blah, and blah, blah. My heritage is blah, blah, and blah, blah. I stand here before you and am about to initiate. I ask for your blessing and I ask for your guidance. Okay, that's it. That's all you have to say, but you're dedicating yourself to this process. You're opening up with that sound, with that voice. And once you've said your blessings, now is when you begin to arrange your stuff, okay? So, oh, I need more space. I need more space. Don't do that. Don't do that, friend. That's not kind. All right, here we go. Can we all see that? Right. So, rough design, of course. You've got your beautifully adorned altar. This will be the altar. At the very top of your altar, you are going to put your pillar candle, your witch's candle, unlit. Do not light it. You are also going to be putting your bread and your wine for the spirits, okay? You offer the bread and the wine for the spirits, and you tell them that the bread and the wine are for the spirits. I offer this bread and this wine to appease the spirits, you know, bless and aid me in my right. Okay, something simple like that. So you put your little bread here, for instance, and you put your wine or your drink / drink. I like wine. Okay, now here in front of you, you want to have your incense going. You want to have your oil at the ready and, you know, your carving implement all here. You want to have your coven crystal and you want to have your keepsake, okay? So grab your 2 plates and place the black one on the left and the white one on the right. Okay, wonky circles, yes, I know. On top of those, you're going to be placing your candles, and it's time for a little bit of prop work here, okay? So here we begin with the black candle, okay? So make sure that incense is going. You want to anoint your black candle with some kind of oil. I may have forgotten to actually put oil on this list, but a coconut or an olive oil is something simple. Dedicate this candle as such. I dedicate this candle as a banishing candle. May it remove from my life, from my heart, from my soul, from my spirit, all that is unwanted, all that holds me back. Take away what is no longer necessary so that I may begin afresh. Something along those lines. Dedicate it, okay? And place it as such. Underneath it, you are going to write down those qualities that you wish to release, okay? And you are also going to cut that thread when the time comes. I'll tell you. Okay, so underneath on a piece of paper, write down all the things that you feel are holding you back, all the things that you want to remove from your life, the unwanted and the unnecessary now, those things that sort of you feel are holding you back. And place that, fold it. Don't fold it like 1,000 times so that you can't place it under a candle. You need to still be able to place it under your candle, okay? So place it under your candle, leave it as such. Okay? And then you want to ritually prepare your white candle, okay? But I'm not ready for you yet. Around this black candle, you are going to sprinkle your protective herbs. So let's go up to your herbs list. You want to put salt. Yes. You want to put you want to put clove. Yes. You want to put rosemary. Yes. You want to put sage. Yes. Okay. So once again, you're going to put salt. You're going to put your mandrake if you have it. If not, you're going to put clove, rosemary, and sage around. On the plate, of course, on the plate, not around on the actual surface of the altar, but on the plate, it's going to be surrounding this. Okay, so you'll have your petition, your written out undesired things on the surface of the plate. On top of that goes the candle. Around it goes that sprinkling of the aforementioned herbs. Now bring your attention over here to the white candle. The white candle you are going to dress with your initiation oil. And around that candle, or underneath that candle, you're going to write your blessings. So similar to what you're going to do with the black candle, underneath the white candle are going to be the blessings. You know, you just write a beautiful blessing for yourself. Just write one for yourself and place it under there, congratulating yourself and honoring who you are, a blessing of a witch. Place it under there. Around this one, you are going to put sugar, lavender, frankincense, lemon balm. The other word for lemon balm is also melissa, just in case you were wondering. You're going to put rosemary, sage, and just a little Palo Santo burning smoke around it, okay? And you're going to leave that there. Now, we are going to go into the meditation. You are going to do a lower world meditation first and foremost, and from there you're going to connect with a very special totem for initiation. Once you have connected with that totem for initiation, you are going to come out of that meditation. Once that first meditation is complete, I want you to cut that thread off that has been around your wrist, that black thread, and I want you to place it around the actual candle itself. Allow it to sort of sit there on the plate. It's all going to turn to mush. You can actively burn it too if that's what feels good for you. And I want you to light that candle. In that moment, I want you to light the candle. You can begin burning it. Just take a moment to really focus. Your next journey is going to be to the middle plane, to the middle world. And there you are going to actively connect with those things that you wish to disconnect from. And so having that candle burning is going to be able to absorb that unwanted negative energy, those things that you want to disconnect. It's very symbolic and it's going to serve a purpose. So you're going to be journeying to the middle world. Before you take that second journey, light that candle. That candle is going to be burning as you journey, right? Once that candle has finished burning, or once you are ready, you know, either one, then we begin that third journey. Now, it is important for me to mention this as well. We are going to be using non-toxic candles throughout this entire experience. This is really important, guys. You don't want to bring in toxic ingredients, with the exception of mandrake that has an age-old narrative associated to it and a deep, rich symbolism. Non-toxic paraffin, non-toxic soy. These little candles here are really great. These are Nimbin candles. They're non-toxic wax, okay? And they're really tiny and they're considered bell candles or spell candles. You want to have some really small candles for this, okay? Because you want them to burn quickly. At least your black candle, you need it to burn quickly. Your white candle can be a full-size candle. It can be a blessing candle. But just something that's going to burn quickly so you don't have to sit here for ages waiting for it to burn out completely. The idea here is to light, journey, and not begin your next or your third journey until your black candle has completely burned out, okay? So even if you don't have a small candle, you can actually take a non-toxic candle and cut it to a small size. It's very symbolic. That's all you need, okay? Then when you're ready, when this black candle has burnt out completely, you are going to light your white candle and do your last journey to the upper world, to the world of the guides, to the guardians, to the gods, okay? And that is when you are going to light your white candle. When you light this white candle, you want to dedicate it. Let it be the guiding light as you meet the ancient ones, as you meet the divine realm, okay? That's what you are going to do. This is your blessing candle, so you're lighting it for the blessing of your travel. Then you are going to begin that travel, and you're going to do that beautiful travel. And the whole time that candle is burning, it's the beacon, it's what's holding space for you here in the present plane. Right, so when you are finished that, let's move, I need to move on, right? So once you complete your third journey, that is when you bring your attention to your coven crystal and to your keepsake. Again, the mala is going to be used as a keepsake. Here you will bless your keepsake and your coven candle in your sacred smoke. Each time you bless one of these items, you hold this in your hand, you hold your stone in your hand and you dedicate it. You speak to that crystal. That crystal is your soul friend now. It is your coven crystal. Speak to it, tell it what you need. Listen to what it has to say. Have your own moment with that crystal. Allow it to consecrate in that sacred space. Anoint it if you will. Touch it to your heart. Touch it to your head. Touch it to anything that's sacred in front of you. Really work that stone. Bring it to life. Same with your keepsake. Your keepsake will be touched on your altar, on your sacred altar. It too will be smoke cleansed. It will be anointed with your oil. It is something super special, okay? And then when that happens, take your time here. Speak to these items. Your keepsake is something that you may be able to hand down to a child, to another person, to a relative, something special, something that has deep meaning. It is symbolic of yourself as a witch, and it's important to have it with you. Your coven crystal will be with you always. It's absorbing the entire experience through initiation. Everything you're doing, it's here, it's present, it's absorbing. So when you smoke cleanse it, you're activating it, okay? You're bringing it to life. It's going to be your divine witness. It's going to be your guide. It's going to be that thing that is with you always, okay? Your friend. Now, we bring our attention to the coven candle, okay? So your coven candle or your witch's candle, this is mine. It's still got sand in it, I swear. This is mine, made at during a Hella eclipse at the start of the year. It's a pillar candle. It's nice and wide. It's tunneling, so it was poorly made. Well, not poorly made, but I used the incorrect wick size. But you want it to be nice and big that you can hold it. You don't want anything too much written on it. This one is carved up to the max. It actually has sigils carved all over it. I actually carved this with the end of my fetish, so it's not very deep, but you want yours to be super deep, and I'm going to show you what you are going to carve on it. Just give me a moment here, folks. Okay, this is what you are going to be carving into your coven candle, into your witch's candle, your working candle. That is the sigil that you are going to be carving. This sigil represents your presence. It represents that you are a part of the coven of the witch weaver. This is your sacred sigil that you can write into your journal, carve onto your candle. It must be carved onto your candle, actually. And you can use this as a seal, and you can use this as a blessing. You can use this as a statement. So that is what you are going to be carving with your carving implement, your crystal or something else. Or really, really carve it in. And once you've carved it in, smoke it, roll it in some herb, anoint it and roll it in some herb, I should say. Hold it in your hand and dedicate that candle. You're dedicating that candle to your ancestors, to your guides, to your guardians. They are going to aid you and protect you. Each and every time you light this candle, it will serve as a beacon to call forth those energies to help you, to aid you in your right. This candle represents your witch's magic, and so dedicate it to those who you believe can aid your witch's magic. Okay, now I'm going to try and put this back, and it's not going to go well. There we go. Yeah, we're sorted. Okay, that's not going well. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So that is what you have, and once you have that candle anointed and engraved, that sigil is on it, you are going to place it where it needs to place, and you are going to light it for the first time. When you light it for the first time, put your coven crystal through the flame of it and your keepsake through the flame of it. Now, here's the tricky business. Allow that to burn. Sit in contemplation for a moment. Thank the gods, the guardians. Acknowledge the magic. Rise and go and take your ritual bath. Okay, your ritual shower. This is the time where you get to beautify yourself. You shave, you cut your toenails, you do the things that you want. You exfoliate, really exfoliate. You wash your hair, and then you come out and you dry yourself with your white or light colored virgin towel, your clean towel. You dress yourself in the right colored clothing, and by that I mean your clean ritual blessing clothing, and you wrap your head. Now the reason why you're wrapping your head is because you have had an initiation. This makes you energetically sensitive. If you do not wrap your head, which is your primary chakra, it's the way that spirit speaks to you, if you do not filter that with a wrap, a white wrap or a wrap of a different color that suits you, then you might end up with headaches. You may end up with anxieties, with stress, with bad dreams or something to that effect. And when I say bad, I just mean vivid in the sense of some spirits might be trying to get a hold of you. This is the veil time. This is the season of the witch, so everything is very sensitive. You need to treat yourself as though you are a newly born babe. So wrap your head and have your ritual meal. enjoy your ritual meal, put on some beautiful music, and enjoy this this moment. Laugh and play in that space. And when you're ready, you may extinguish your candles, leave your ritual space open until the following day. And when the ritual space is open, when you wake up the following day after a really good sleep and probably some wild dreams, then close down your sacred space. You want to make sure that you sleep in a guarded space. So extend that protective energy out to wherever you are. Your circle needs to be big enough to cover your house. Your inner circle needs to be big enough to occupy necessary space, but make sure that you're sleeping within the realms of sacred space. And when you wake up in the morning, you get to tidy, you get to celebrate, take some photos, laugh, play, connect with the world around you, and you're freshly initiated. You are, hurrah, fully fledged, initiated witch. Makes me a little emotional, actually. Makes me a little emotional. And so that is what you'll do. Now take it easy after that. Eat foods that are not too heavy, but foods that will help to ground you. And just make sure that you are being gentle and kind with yourself. I would ask that you steer clear from social media. And I will tell you this, I will not be posting for the week after initiation. I will need to recalibrate, you will need to recalibrate, okay? This is really important that you go gentle. Don't oversaturate yourself. If you have commitments with families and with kids and things of that nature, make them very earthy. Be present, eye contact, ground, center. Try to avoid electronic media as much as possible because you are going to be ultra sensitive and very much influenced. So it is important for me to mention as well that after initiation, you might notice that you have psychic gifts that they might make themselves known to you. Your intuition will be enhanced, and so strange things might happen to you. And if that be the case, then don't freak out, okay? You've opened yourself up to an evolution, a spiritual evolution. That is what initiation is. It's stating to the world of spirits, to the world of man, and to yourself that you are the mystic seeker, okay? That's a bit corny to put it that way, but you are the mystic seeker. You are on a journey of magic, and as you begin that journey, it means that you are opening up to potential opportunities. And so you might find that your psychic centers are really pronounced. You might find that you have lucid dreams, that you start to have these experiences. This is where you will take it all to your coven journal, okay? Start to journal. That week, that after your initiation, use it to journal, use it to recalibrate, use it to reflect. And after that week, I'm going to open up Sacred Space on Facebook, and of course I'm going to open it up on Patreon. I'm going to do another video and I'm going to welcome you, okay? Now, lastly, before I go, what I wanted to say to you is on the day of your initiation, I am going to do a live Google Hangout. On the 7th, I'm going to be doing the live Google Hangout, and I'm going to be there to answer any questions that you might have and to assist you to prepare any further, bits and pieces that you may need. And just to give you some encouragement, some support, some words of wisdom, and to help you to acknowledge the sacred essence of the day itself. So there you have it, beautiful souls. I'm going to have those notes, those kind of rough notes there for you, attached to this video in Patreon, of course, and hopefully it will benefit you, and you will find that you are far more grounded in this experience. All right, so with all of that said and done, the candle has extinguished itself. So it's still going. Hurrah. All right, so I'm wishing you guys so much love, luck, peace, and joy. I hope that you find strength and magic in this experience, and that if you need anything, please do not hesitate to contact me, okay? So much love, many blessings. Mwah! Best of luck preparing, folks. Have fun with this. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Have fun with this. Go all out. Go full witch. Get big, okay? See ya.